September 2000. Two desperate entrepreneurs walked into a skyscraper in Dallas, Texas. They were the founder of a tiny money-losing startup called Netflix. Across the table sat John Antioco, the king of entertainment. As the CEO of Blockbuster, he oversaw 9,000 stores and $6 billion in annual revenue. He was the most powerful man in Hollywood. The Netflix duo had a simple offer: buy us for $50 million, we will run your website, and you can keep the stores. Antioco didn't just say no, he loved them out of the room. He thought the internet was a fad, and that 60-second laugh became the most expensive sound in business history. It cost Blockbuster $500 billion and its very existence. Today, Netflix is a global empire, and Blockbuster, it has a single store in Oregon, kept alive by nostalgia. But here's the secret the history books get wrong. Netflix did not kill Blockbuster. Blockbuster committed suicide. To understand the fall, you have to understand the peak. Back in 1990s, Blockbuster were everywhere. At its peak, the company had more than 9,000 stores around the world. If you wanted to watch a movie, you would drive to a Blockbuster store and rent a DVD and return it later. Millions of families did this every weekend. Blockbuster was making billions of dollars every year. They didn't just sell movies, they sold an experience. But that experience had a dark secret. If you returned the movie late, Blockbuster charged late fees and customers hated those fees. In 2000, they made $800 million, which is nearly 16% of their revenue just from the late fees. They were literally making money by making their customers unhappy, and that frustration created the perfect opportunity for a new idea. Here enters Reed Hastings. Legend says he started Netflix because he was hit with $40 late fees for Apollo 13. He realized that if you remove the pain points of the store, the drive, the limited selection, and the late fees, then you change the game. In 1997, two entrepreneurs, Reed Hastings and Mark Randall, started a small company called Netflix. Their idea was simple. Instead of driving to a store, customers could order DVDs online. Netflix would mail the movie directly to their house. Even better, there was no late fees. Customers could keep the movie as long as they wanted. It was convenient, simple, and cheaper. Blockbuster saw this and dismissed it. They looked at their 60 million loyal customers and thought, why would they wait 2 days for a mailman when they can walk to our stores right now? In 2000, Netflix was struggling financially, so the founders decided to approach Blockbuster with an offer. They proposed selling Netflix for $50 million. They even suggested becoming the online division of Blockbuster, but the executives at Blockbuster did not like the idea. They believed people would always prefer renting movies from stores, so they rejected the offer and laughed at the idea, and that decision would become one of the biggest mistakes in business history. In the early 2000s, internet technology started improving rapidly. Netflix realized DVDs by mail were only temporary. The real future was streaming movies directly through the internet. So Netflix made a bold move. They launched online streaming. Now people could watch movies instantly without waiting for DVDs. By that time, Blockbuster CEO Antioco realized he had made a mistake. He finally launched Blockbuster Online to fight Netflix. And here is the crazy part. It worked. Blockbuster was actually winning. They were growing faster than Netflix. They were using their stores as return hubs, something Netflix could not do. He also removed the late fees for the DVDs. But then the villain of the story entered. Billionaire investor Carl Icahn. He was one of the biggest investors in Blockbuster. He hated that Antioco was spending millions on their online division and ending late fees. Carl convinced the board and fired the CEO Antioco. They brought back the late fees. They cut the marketing budget of the website. It was like a captain turning up engines while the ship was heading for an iceberg. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, Blockbuster was drowning in $1 billion debt. They could not afford to innovate. In 2010, they filed for bankruptcy. Thousands of stores closed. A company that once dominated the entertainment industry had completely collapsed. Netflix, meanwhile, had just pivoted to streaming. They were not only a mail company anymore, they were a tech company. They moved from streaming movies to creating their own content. Shows like Stranger Things, Money Heist turned Netflix into a global powerhouse. The story of Netflix and Blockbuster teaches a very powerful lesson. In business, the biggest danger is ignoring change. Blockbuster believed their dominance would last forever. Netflix believed the future would be different, and the difference in thinking changed the entire industry. Sometimes the biggest companies don't fail because of competitors, they fail because they refuse to adapt. Blockbuster's death wasn't just a failure of tech, it was a failure of ego. But they aren't the only ones. Next Sunday, we dissect Red Bull, a $10 billion empire that doesn't actually make the drink it sells. Subscribe to Empire Dissection to witness the next autopsy. I'll see you in the boardroom.